Hello to the Deep Dive family. Welcome back. Have you ever considered that perhaps our entire human history, the story we've been told, is just a misunderstanding of a much larger, stranger truth? What if I told you that the gods worshipped thousands of years ago weren't gods at all, but rather teachers who came to Earth from the sky? By the end of this video, your perspective on history, mythology, and maybe even the stars above you will change forever. But to get there, we must begin our journey from a very, very distant place, from where our written history was born. Imagine living in ancient Mesopotamia, about 6,000 years ago. Life is hard and simple. You and your people are just learning agriculture and how to live in one place. One day, a strange creature emerges from the waters of the Persian Gulf. Its body is like a fish, but beneath its scaly skin, it has a body like a human. It speaks, it thinks, and it possesses knowledge you can't even imagine. It teaches you law, agriculture, music and writing. It gifts you civilization. And then, it returns to the depths of the water. The Babylonians called him Oannes. This isn't just a story, it's one of dozens of narratives repeated across our ancient civilizations. A great unanswered question. Who were these ancient teachers, really? This pattern isn't found only in Mesopotamia. It's as if every great ancient civilization had a celestial teacher. In the same region, the Sumerians spoke of a being named Enki. They say he was the one who bestowed the foundational knowledge of civilization upon humans. A little further away, in the forbidden book of Enoch, there's talk of fallen angels who came to Earth and taught humans forbidden arts like metalworking and weapon-making. Now, let's take a huge leap from the Middle East to the Amazon rainforest. Among the Kayapo tribes, the legend of a being named Beep Kororoti is passed down from generation to generation. They say he descended from the sky in a great storm with a blinding light. His suit was made of a shining metal, and he taught the tribe how to build better homes, how to hunt, and how to use medicinal plants. After some time, with the same sound of thunder and brilliant light, he returned to the sky. Even the ceremonial dress that the tribe's chiefs wear today is an imitation of that celestial being's metal suit. Think it's over? No, this is just the beginning. In ancient Ireland there are legends about a people called the Tuatha De Danann. They were said to be tall, beautiful, shining beings who descended from the sky in flying ships. They brought the knowledge of music, poetry, craftsmanship, and social organization to the Irish. In Africa, the Dogon tribe has spoken for thousands of years about teachers called the Namo, amphibious beings, half human and half fish, who came from the star Sirius to establish order. The astronomical knowledge of the Dogon is so precise and complex that modern scientists still don't know how they obtained it without telescopes. In Australia, the Aborigines speak of the Wandjina, sacred spirits who created the earth and humans, and their multi-thousand-year-old paintings on rocks show beings with large eyes and big heads without mouths. Among Native Americans, they were called the Star People. All these similarities in cultures separated by thousands of kilometers with no contact cannot be a coincidence. It's as if someone, or rather a group, traveled the entire Earth during a specific period of history and planted the seeds of civilization. But why? Who were they, and what did they want from us? This is where we arrive at the most controversial and fascinating theory in human history, the Anunnaki theory. According to the reinterpretation of Sumerian clay tablets by authors like Zecharia Sitchin, the Anunnaki were beings from a 12th planet in our solar system called Nibiru. A planet with a vast elliptical orbit that brings it close to Earth every 3,600 years. About 450,000 years ago, Nibiru's atmosphere was failing, and they needed a special material to repair it: gold. And the best source of gold in the solar system was our planet, Earth. So they came to Earth, landed in the Mesopotamian region, and began mining for gold. The work was very difficult, and the Anunnaki workers rebelled. So their leaders, Enki and Enlil, decided to create an intelligent worker using genetic engineering. They combined their own DNA with the DNA of an advanced species of early humans, and the result was us. Homo sapiens, or as the Sumerians called them, the Adamu. We worked for them, mined gold, and worshipped them as gods. What would you do if you were in their shoes? You create a race to serve you, and then... Well, according to this theory, after tens of thousands of years, the gold mining mission was complete. But a conflict arose between the two leading brothers, Enki, who was fond of humans, and Enlil, who saw us merely as tools. These internal conflicts and wars between them caused them to leave Earth. But before leaving, they didn't give us all their knowledge. They taught us agriculture, city building, and basic laws, but they kept the bigger secrets, like space travel or limitless energy, for themselves. You might say this is a fascinating science fiction story, but where's the proof? Proponents of this theory point to a few things. First, the ancient Sumerian texts that describe the gods as very human-like. Gods who get jealous, fight, eat, and even die. Second, the sudden leap in human civilization. We were hunter-gatherers for millions of years, and then suddenly, about 10,000 years ago, in the blink of an eye, agriculture, architecture, astronomy, and mathematics were born. Where did this explosion of knowledge come from? And third, the famous Sumerian cylinder seal, known as VA-243. On this small seal, an image of the solar system is carved, with the sun at the center and all the planets we know today. But there's one small problem. They also carved Pluto, which we discovered in the 20th century, and an extra planet between Mars and Jupiter, Nibiru. But this theory also raises many more questions. If they were really here, why is there no physical evidence left, like a spaceship or advanced tools? Why did they leave and never come back? Are they still alive? Let's think about these questions one by one. Why did they leave? Well, we said their mission was complete and they had internal conflicts. But there's another interesting theory called the zoo hypothesis. This theory suggests that they created us or helped us, and now they are watching from a distance to see how we evolve, without direct intervention. Just as we don't interfere with the lives of animals in a wildlife park. Perhaps they are waiting for us to reach a certain level of technological and ethical maturity. Will they return? Well, if Nibiru's 3,600-year orbit is real, their return should be near. Some believe that many of today's world events and the sudden interest of governments in space are not unrelated to this possible return. And the biggest question, are they still alive? In ancient texts, the lifespan of the gods is mentioned as thousands of years. Given their advanced technology, controlling the aging process wouldn't have been difficult for them. So yes, most likely, our creators are still alive, and maybe they are watching this video right now. But the story gets even weirder. Some believe the Anunnaki didn't just have bases on Earth. They also used the Moon and Mars as operational outposts. There are theories that the Moon is a hollow, artificial object placed in Earth's orbit by them to control the tides and stabilize Earth's axis. There are many photos from the surface of the Moon and Mars that show strange structures, regular geometric shapes, and even things that look like pyramids or a face. NASA says these are just tricks of light and shadow or natural formations, but is that really the case? Or are they hiding something from us? Now let's make another time jump to the present day. Reports of unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, are increasing every day. Military pilots, astronauts, and even former US presidents have officially confirmed that there are things in our skies that cannot be explained by any known technology. Now place these reports alongside ancient legends, the fiery chariots in the Book of Ezekiel, the flying vimanas in Indian texts, the skyships in Ireland. It seems only the names have changed. What ancient man called magic or a divine miracle, we today call advanced technology. Are today's UFOs the same Anunnaki or their descendants, who have returned to check on the result of their grand experiment, humanity? But wait, before we get completely lost in this idea, we have to look at the other side of the story. Mainstream science and archaeology reject all these theories. They say there is no physical evidence for the presence of extraterrestrials in the past. No unknown metals, no impossible artifacts have been found. They believe human progress has been entirely gradual, and these sudden leaps we talked about are just an illusion, and in reality, took thousands of years. There are also logical explanations for the cultural similarities. For example, pyramids. Why did different civilizations around the world, with no contact, all build pyramids? A simple explanation is that the pyramid is the most stable architectural structure for achieving height. If you want to build a tall structure with stone, you will likely arrive at the shape of a pyramid. Or for instance, the skull deformation seen in Egypt, Peru, and other places. Anthropologists say this was a cultural practice to show social status or beauty, not an imitation of the appearance of extraterrestrials. And perhaps the best explanation for how ancient people could mistake technology for divinity is a phenomenon called cargo cults. During World War II, the US military set up bases on remote islands in the Pacific. The natives of these islands, who had never seen modern humans, were suddenly confronted with giant metal birds that descended from the sky, bringing all sorts of strange goods like canned food, clothes, and medicine. They saw the soldiers as gods. After the war, when the soldiers left the island, the natives started building mock airplanes out of wood and leaves and performing rituals similar to military drills, hoping the gods would return with their cargo. This phenomenon shows us how the human mind, when faced with technology it doesn't understand, attributes it to a supernatural and divine phenomenon. Is it possible that the story of our celestial teachers was the same? A brief encounter with a more advanced civilization that turned into the myth of gods in the minds of our ancestors? So, we've reached the climax, the promise I made at the beginning of the video. Was our history a lie and were our gods ancient astronauts? The answer is, we don't know. And that's the most exciting part. On one hand, there is no scientific and physical evidence to definitively prove this theory. Everything is based on the interpretation of ancient texts and circumstantial evidence. On the other hand, the sheer volume of similarities in global mythologies, the sudden leaps in human history, and the unanswered questions that science still has no answer for, are so numerous that we cannot simply dismiss this idea. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in the middle of these two viewpoints. Maybe we never had direct physical contact with them, but we were inspired by them in some way. Maybe they didn't give us knowledge directly, but planted the seeds of curiosity and progress in our minds. This theory, whether true or false, has one very important function. It reminds us how small and young we are. It reminds us that we are not alone in this vast universe and that a hidden history and a wonderful future await us. Ultimately, it is you who must decide. Are we the result of a purely terrestrial evolution, or are we the children of the stars? Did our gods live in the heavens, or did they come from the heavens to visit us? Thank you for staying with us until the end of this deep and mysterious journey. I hope we've challenged your mind. That's what we love to do here at Deep Dive. We love you guys, and we'd be thrilled if you gave us a boost by liking this video and subscribing to the channel, so we can go on more exploratory journeys together. Be sure to write your opinion in the comments. Do you believe in ancient astronauts? Which part of this story was most interesting to you? Until the next video, pay more attention to the night sky. Maybe the next time you look at the stars, you'll remember that you might be looking at your ancestral home.